Gets a little convoluted.
The Disney Center that
It is actually
so
much
it's
nicer
nicer.
exit because there's no steps.
Okay.
Still there. Where's William?
Saw him back there.
Where?
I saw him back there for a moment. Where Will go? She's wondering.
My client. Where'd they go?
You see where Will went, Danny? I thought I just saw him back there.
I was missed. Okay, great. You feel good?
I feel good. I'm still shaking, but yeah.
Were you worried?
No. I wasn't worried. We knew that they were lying.
Yeah.
When she said it's not credible, I was like, and I
As
was.
soon as she said that March 9th wasn't credible, it was very clear that we'd won.
Right.
But we
It's a
couldn't-
high standard, and they were all over the map. You know, in their testimony, the petitioner clearly was being led by his attorney. I was impressed. The judge noticed that. We all noticed that, and we're quite sure. The judge does see everything, but it was still gratifying that she noted it in her decision that Mr. Campos was constantly looking at his attorney, Mr. Moxon, for whether or not he should answer yes or no.
Notice the body language.
And it was like Mr. Moxon would nod his head or shake his head, and that's not okay. And Mr. Campos seemed quite confused at times about what he was even asking for. And he also seemed to think that he should be able to be 100% comfortable and at ease to walk the sidewalks to his church and go throughout that whole area of the Blue Building, the entire Scientology complex, including the sidewalks, the public sidewalks and the public street. And in his attorney's closing statement yesterday, he repeated a sentiment we heard from the petitioner repeatedly on the stand in his own testimony, that this is his space and this is his block. And at the same time in their testimony and in Mr. Moxon's argument, he had the unmitigated gall to call my client, who he knows is Mexican American and is here on a special visa. He knows that. And calling him a gang member repeatedly.
Glad it didn't work.
So, to my mind, calling a public sidewalk area and street my block sounds pretty gang-like to me. And it wasn't my client that spoke like that. No public sidewalk belongs to any individual, it belongs to the people. And it's a place where public speech takes place. And the Supreme Court has reiterated over and over, confirming that the public sidewalks are a place for robust speech. And robust speech is not always pleasant. It can be an argument and discussion and things that can be said that are upsetting and annoying. And protest is supposed to be annoying and disruptive.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
the point.
So no one has the right to walk on a sidewalk free of annoyances of other people. We have to live with other people, and we all own the sidewalk together. And everything in this case occurred on a sidewalk. And in the first instance where they said my client had committed violence, he didn't commit any violence. He tried to stop further violence. The petitioner on his electric scooter that's illegally being ridden on the sidewalk against the vehicle code, on that sidewalk that he was blocking their ability to get past him, he shoved that scooter into my client. My client grabbed the scooter to stop it. And he yelled out, startled, that he was run over and pinned against the tree. So to try to turn that into something my client did to him, it didn't fly, it wasn't credible, and the judge made the right decision. And she carefully went over that evidence.
Yes, very much
Because
so.
the way she gave her decision, she carefully went over that evidence. And I would also like to add, she was very generous with the petitioner's side of this case. This was a 3-day trial. And we had a lot of so-called housekeeping on the first half of the first day because Mr. Moxon did not properly provide his exhibits, and there was a lot of mess that had to be cleaned up. Evidentiary objections that had to be ruled upon. So he ended up then getting all the time after that for his case, plus time on the third day, and I'm still not able to put on my case. I shortened my case. I put on only my client because I felt seeing 3 different versions of the video was enough. And we slowed it down. and we
Right.
showed individual frames.
Right, he
We
got
went
his
back
witness,
over it.
not the other one.
And his witnesses gave much of the testimony that was very helpful to us. And my client is credible because he's telling the truth. And so I didn't put on the other two witnesses that I had in the interest of efficiency, and because I felt that the petitioner's witness had helped us out quite a bit, and that the video doesn't lie, and the judge was carefully watching everything.
Yeah.
And she gave a decision that is the kind of decision that we want. We want to win, but regardless, we want a judge who's paying attention and makes careful note of the evidence and makes a ruling on the evidence. And the ruling was made today on the evidence, and we prevailed. And, you know, Scientology needs to take note. This is the fourth such restraining order. They do different varieties. This is the fourth restraining order on which I've been retained to represent the protester, and we've won on each one. 4 for 4. So I don't know if they want to keep bringing it on, because I'm going to keep coming back to court representing protesters.
Love it. Yeah, you will.
And I'm going to conduct my trials the same way I conducted this one and the others. And I don't think Scientology should keep doing this. I think Scientology needs to recognize that they're on thin ice. Because it's very clear each one of these litigants that brings these bogus restraining orders is either obviously funded by Scientology. In one of the cases, the litigant admitted they were funded by Scientology, or they are deeply, deeply embedded and ingrained and involved in Scientology, and they're just doing their bidding. In this case, every single person on the petitioner's side was some kind of Scientologist, including the lawyer and his assistant, all the people involved, and they had other Scientology people showing up, some lawyers. This is about Scientology. This is not about these individual people needing restraining orders. They are abusing the restraining order process. And I've been doing restraining orders for 23 years. Restraining orders are serious. Restraining order law, whether it's civil harassment, elder abuse, or domestic violence, is there to protect vulnerable people who need protection. The reason they have a provision that if you are too afraid to notify the other party that you're getting a TRO, you don't even have to give them notice that within 24 hours you're going into court. And that's to protect people who are genuinely at risk. These Scientology restraining order things that they do, they always go in and say they're too afraid to tell anybody.
No actual
so
threat
they
of
can
violence.
fill up their forms with lies, get a TRO, and then it takes a while to get to trial. So my client's been damaged. My client's been damaged. There's been a TRO against him that has prohibited him from doing his protesting at the Blue Building since June 4th. This needs to stop.
Do you think they knew from the beginning that it was based on nothing, they probably lose, but just pack it in?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
So you think they knew, huh?
I'll tell you what the win is for them. Mr. Valeda took over the leadership for a particular type of protest that was going to be serving unhoused people food and supplies that they need and services in the public areas near Scientology's Blue Building, because Scientology has a history of being unkind and cruel to homeless people, unhoused people.
That's a
And
fact.
because the original leader of this had a restraining order just like this served on him a few days earlier, Mr. Valeda stepped up to be the leader. So then they served him with a restraining order. And there were no more people left that were willing to take that leadership role or that could take that leadership role. And so the entire project was scrapped. So that was a win for Scientology. Then they prevented Mr. Valeda from ever being in the area that he normally protests because of this restraining order. So because he follows the law. So now he can go back to protesting and doing what he was doing before, and he was very effective, and that's why they go after him. The reason they went after Mr. Good on numerous occasions is because he's so effective. The reason they went after Mr. Hofstetter was because he was effective. And the reason they're after my client here today, Mr. Valeda, is because he's effective.
So that leads me to ask, same judge with DOA's case, do you think that shows good fruits for DOA coming up?
I have no idea, because I know you're talking about Mr. Hofstetter.
Yes.
I represented Mr. Hofstetter with my co-counsel on that case.
With a slap,
Matthew Struger, because we brought a anti-slap.
Right.
And we prevailed on one of these bogus civil harassment restraining orders on an anti-SLAPP. It never even went to trial on the merits because the whole thing was found to be a strategic lawsuit against public participation. So the court recognized it was bogus. So I represented him on that only. I do not represent him
Sure.
on this
Your
particular restraining
personal
order,
opinion, but you don't
and
have
I
to give it.
haven't been in court, so
Sure,
I
of
don't
course.
have an opinion.
Of course.
I'm going to have to just watch the decision with everyone else.
Sure.
And find out. I understand Mr. Hochstetter represented himself on that matter.
Effectively, yeah.
I've heard he did a good job, and I have not been in court though, so I can't give an opinion.
Another question I have is, now that it's been, minus the anti-SLAPP, with the tangible trials, now it's been 2 for 2. Judges will talk amongst themselves. The last one with Streets LA, that was in a local law journal, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm wondering, will judges see any potential future cases? And of course, they have to examine each case for its merit, but might they be a little more reflexive to throw these type of cases out immediately before it even gets to trial? Might they be more reflexive? I don't even know if you can dismiss an RO. Maybe you can't, and that's a different set of circumstances. But would they be more reflexive to either dismiss or grant an anti-SLAPP? Is it going to be easier at this point? And will getting to trial even be a lot tougher on Scientology's part?
I think it's a good question, good set of questions.
Thank you.
Restraining orders are taken very seriously here. And in California, we also take due process very seriously. That's why we allow lengthy trials. That's why we allow a lot of what we allow. It sometimes is frustrating to people that feel like, well, wait a minute, there's no basis to this. But at the end of the day, we give everyone an opportunity to put on their case. We give everyone an opportunity with our process. And I don't think any of the judges have any kind of reflexive reaction to these kinds of cases.
Sure.
Having said that, though, I'm not a judge, so I don't know how much they talk amongst themselves about their cases. I can't speak
No, they have
to
a
that.
water cooler.
But we all read the Daily Journal.
Right. That was
That
big.
would be lawyers and judges alike. And we are all aware of what goes on in the courthouse. And we're all human. But beyond that, I do have to say that the judges that I go before in this courthouse are highly professional. They do a very good job being impartial, and
They have to, of course.
and they take every case as a new, fresh look, even if it's a known litigant. Unless you have a litigant who...
Now the litigant is known, so that's good. They know what they do. They're more familiar with them versus random person versus random person.
But I don't think it's going to impact their impartiality on case by case. I don't think so. There are other factors, though. I do think there is a pattern here. And I think Scientology is treading on very dangerous territory to continue to do the same thing with these unwitting litigants, often who don't even realize how they're being used, over and over and over. Because here's what happens in the end. I have 3 attorney's fees motions pending against the 3 cases that I won before this. One of those is a mandatory fee statute that means they have to order the fees. It's just a question of certain amounts and all of that kind of stuff. But it does have to be ordered. 2 of them are discretionary, meaning that the judge gets to decide whether or not to order the fees. I am going to make those requests on each and every case I win in these Scientology matters. I do not do that on every restraining order case that I've had in my career. In fact, I rarely do it. But on these cases, I will do it. It is important that my clients do not have to pay for their legal defense in these bogus cases, and it is important that the litigants that bring these cases on behalf of Scientology, even though they're not formally doing it on behalf of Scientology, they are in essence doing it on behalf of Scientology. And maybe Scientology is paying their fees on the primary case. I'd like to know, is Scientology going to pay their fees if we win our motion for fees? And maybe that's going to make people think twice about bringing these things in the first place.
Do you have any general estimates as to how much they spent in each case altogether, how much they're wasting?
Wow. I don't know how much Mr. Moxon makes an hour.
Right, I'm curious.
This was a
Hopefully not
3-day
much.
trial. I have not calculated my hours yet.
Sure.
But it's expensive to go to trial. What I can tell you, another client of mine is present here today, and Mr. Good's case was a 5-day trial.
Right.
And Mr. Struger and I tried that together. I was first chair, he was second chair. We both worked on it. Our fees motion is asking for over $175,000.
Wow, that's a pretty penny.
I am $650 an hour. When I filed my fee motion on Mr.
You ain't
Good's
cheap.
case, my fees went up in the interim. My co-counsel is $950 an hour.
Well
Good
deserved.
legal counsel is often not
Yeah.
cheap.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
I don't know how much.
But his
Mr.
Moxon
is
good,
now.
so you might get the discount rate
I
with him.
also know that in Mr. Good's case, opposing counsel is a very good lawyer and a very expensive lawyer, and he had more resources on the case than I did, even with having the
Yes.
esteemed Mr. Struger as my second chair,
Yeah, he's doing well.
which was both an honor and incredibly helpful. Even with how much we cost, the opposing counsel in that case, I expect expended more money because an entire firm of resources was on that case. Much more resources than I or Mr. Struger
Cool.
have at our disposal.
That's good news.
So, and Scientology was paying for all that because that came out in the testimony that they were paying for all the legal fees. So,
Right.
you know,
Right.
it's going to get expensive because it's expensive to fight these when protesters have good legal counsel.
And I don't want to pressure you if you don't want to give your personal opinion. That's your choice. But I've noticed there is a difference of representation between Streets LA, which was a tougher case in a lot of ways, and in the Danny case. Do you think the attorney for Streets LA was more effective? And do you think there was some incompetence on Moxon's part? And do you think he was do you think he's been a good attorney in this case?
You mentioned Streets LA, and I thought that was sort of a shorthand for my client, Mr. Good. Do you mean in that
sorry.
case opposing counsel?
Yeah, opposing, that's what I meant. Yeah, the bald gentleman.
You're asking if
He seemed much better than Kendrick Moxon.
Anthony Brown. You're asking me
Anthony-
if Anthony
yeah.
Brown is a better attorney than Kendrick Moxon.
Yeah,
Is that what you're asking?
yeah. Was one easier to deal with than the other? How about that?
I'll
Yeah.
answer. I would like to answer that.
I was watching cool.
Okay, I would like to answer.
You know Will's
that
answer.
question.
Well, I appreciate that.
Mr. Brown is a very competent attorney.
I agree.
He was never rude to me.
That's different.
I have no problem speaking to him on the phone and meet and
Right.
confer.
Judge complimented him, not this time.
I think that he launched a very rigorous prosecution of his case.
Yes.
I cannot say any of the same things about Mr. Moxon.
Duly noted.
And that is all I have to say about my opinion about the attorneys. It's
Duly noted.
It's not my opinion. It's my experience.
Do you feel that Moxon
Well put.
showed you professional courtety and respect?
A great question.
Professional courtesy.
I don't feel he did. I personally don't feel that way.
Says it all. Her face just answered it all.
Yes, Judge.
Her answer's no. I'll answer for her. Gotcha.
He has some work to do about how to treat opposing counsel. And I'm not accustomed to being treated
Thanks
the
for the
way
super
he spoke
chat.
to me privately. And that's all I'll say about it.
Do you feel that the judge was thorough in her ruling and explaining her ruling, that it will make it difficult to appeal this case for Mr. Campos?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But Mr. Campos needs to make that decision if he's going to appeal the case, and he has a given period of time to do so, and we'll see what happens.
Will you be filing a fee hearing?
Yes, I will be.
Do you think the church will try again for another RO, or do they keep getting defeated? And at least I'm here to slap him in the face and publicize this. I mean, do you think they'll feel it's worth it anymore? Or do
I
you almost
don't
have carte
know.
blanche?
That's
Yeah.
up to them. 'cause
Cool.
I
Well,
made
you'll
it
be here
clear I'm not
otherwise.
going away.
I love that. That's what I was going to say. You'll be here
I've
otherwise.
represented Mr. Good for a while. We've been through this more than once. And we've been through this. Yeah, we've been through this. And yeah.
Thank you for
It's
the,
a really ugly thing that people that don't like what they see protesters doing choose to use something in the legal system that is designed to protect people who need protection, and they're using it to stop speech that they don't like.
Yeah.
And it's wrong. The best I can do is keep representing the folks that need the help, and so we stop this. I am hopeful that the cost of this will make Scientology think twice
Sure.
and stop purposely getting in this situation. This is a big loss for them.
I had a question. Is there any grounds for any of your clients or any potential people that are being harassed or silenced to file a class action lawsuit against them?
Good question.
I don't know. I don't do class action. So, one of the things I think makes an attorney a good attorney is to be able to admit that what one knows and what one doesn't know. And I know what I don't know. And I don't know class action. It's not something that I do. So I don't know. I don't know how much of this is going on elsewhere and how much of a pattern there is. I just know that in these 4 cases, Scientology has been interwoven in every aspect of it. Their people, their lawyers, their money. And all of these 4 cases on which I represented the winning respondents, all of these restraining orders, each of the 4 benefits Scientology more, vastly more, than it would ever benefit the individual person that brought the restraining order request. So.
And can I ask one more? I'm curious. So now you've done 2 of these cases in a row. Is there a personal impetus as to why you're doing these type of cases? It seems like you've been a big advocate to make sure that people are able to continue protesting in the city of Los Angeles. So is there something kind of in your heart that makes you want to do these type of cases?
Sure.
Cool. I figured.
I met my client William Good because of my activism and because of his activism. And part of why I'm a lawyer is because of what I believe.
Cool.
And I was protesting and doing activism long before I had a law degree.
No, respect. Cool.
So, but I don't feel like that's something worthy of congratulations. I think we all have beliefs, and we all have issues and things that matter to us.
Sure.
And we all have a way that we can do something about that. Everybody has a different way. And for me, protesting and different types of activism, then when I became a lawyer, that allowed me, in addition to the work I was paid for, to do other things that I wasn't paid for. And some of the work I'm paid for kind of crosses into the activism.
Sure.
And, that's when I'm happiest, when, I don't have to separate the work I pay for the work that's the activism. It all gets to come together, and I can be doing, what I want to do to feel like it's making a difference. So, these cases do intersect with what I've done for many, many years, because I know restraining orders very well. And they're very much a part of family law practice, at least in the practice the way I have practiced. And I can recognize when these laws are being abused. And that's clearly what happened here. And, Mr. Good became a client some time ago, and here we are. Before he was involved with the Scientology protesting, because he's done a lot for this city in his police watching, and he has been targeted for that. And he came to me for that originally. So,
cool.
And I'm happy to help, because I think what he's doing, as I've said before, has helped our city tremendously. Mr. Good is a treasure to the city of Los Angeles, and we should all be really happy that he does what he does, and he puts himself out there and puts himself at risk to make the police behave better so that we are all safer.
checks and balances.
And the Scientology protesting is also helping our city. And the protesters that are out there discouraging people from getting involved with this cult, it's a cult, and they act like a gang. We've heard the phrase recently, the accusations are actually admissions. And the
Funny.
way they kept calling my client a gang member and, you know, saying and an agitator, and the words that were used, those can be used about Scientology. Scientology functions like a
Right,
gang.
yeah,
They
right.
are a cult.
Stanley mentioned that too about the trafficking.
They are
yeah.
a cult. And they need to have absolute control. And they do seem to have absolute control over their members. And unsuspecting people, tourists up on Hollywood Boulevard, people in the Blue Building area that get involved with this place thinking, oh, I'm just going to look into it. And then they get sucked in, and next thing you know, they're in a cult. I think warning people about that stuff. I've had the opportunity to talk with individuals, and some of you were here, that were raised in Scientology and were subjected to abuses that are horrific. And in my family law practice, I have gone up against child sexual abusers who are the parents of their own children. So some of the stories I've heard from people that grew up in Scientology cross into that territory. And it's horrifying. And the fact that the protesters are monitoring and documenting and filming the transport of children in and out of Scientology buildings, documenting all these bizarre things they see at all hours of the day and night, and then putting it on live stream on YouTube. What a service. What a service. Then that way somebody can access that information. If they get pulled into Scientology, and you go on the internet now, you're going to see a lot of this stuff that many of you are doing, including my client today, Mr. Valeda.
Well, that's the scooter guy. I mean, he approached me when my very first live. I was like going live, and I didn't even know about these tactics of Scientology. And I came to see my husband, and all of a sudden, this guy on a scooter came to me, and I thought he was drunk, and I kept walking out of his way. And because I was walking out of his way, he never hit me. And then I actually recorded him later.
Smart.
And he was like, "What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Blah 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 blah." But it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that they're even propping these guys up like this.
Well,
I'll put.
they lost today.
Yep, beautiful.
Fourth time that they bring one of these, and they lost.
Yep, beautifully.
Another question, it's an important one too.
Yes, Mr. Good.
Yeah. So there's actually a motion in front of the city council that's right now that's being considered. It's motion, I think it's 240910. And that would prevent protesters from protesting within 300 feet of a religious organization facility, a hospital, schools, or any public facility, which would include this courthouse right here. If that were to pass, we would not be allowed to protest right here. We'd have to go 300 feet away from any of these public buildings, including the LAPD headquarters and City Hall across the street. That was actually mentioned in the case. Mr. Moxon brought that up during argument about what he said was proposed by the mayor to that city council file. What do you think about that? The fact that he brought that up during his argument.
I think Mr. Moxon does a lot of those Scientology things to try to get as much information about whoever's skin he wants to get under as possible. And there's not a lot of information out there about me, but there's enough information out there about me, and there is a Palestine flag sticker
On your
my
computer.
laptop. So twice in this case, he raised the issue of the way I spoke of Scientology, because here's the first one, and it'll get to the answer to your question. The first time he raised an issue, I think using the fact that I am general counsel and on the board of directors, founding board of directors of an organization called Gaza's Children that was created by a colleague of mine to help the children who are victims of what's happening in Palestine right now. And she's a therapist and a lawyer, and we are trying to provide trauma services to these children and their families as best we can. So all of this is something he could have found out about me on the internet. So what does he do in the case? He says that when I referred to Scientology as Scientology, he stopped everything and said the council needs to refer to it as Church of Scientology, and that she's being disrespectful about Scientology, the Church of Scientology, the same way someone would be disrespectful of Jews if they use a term and use some other term about the Jewish faith and the Jewish people, and he likened it to that. He did that twice in this case. Why would he do that? Why would he try to paint me in some way that sounds like maybe he's making an anti-Semitism analogy and all of that? He did that a couple of times. He did raise that when he brought up that particular piece of law, that motion. I actually filed public comment against it when it first was raised. I don't think he knew that, but he brought it up and he said, this is the trend. This is where we're going to protect people. And he spoke about it like it was something the judge should consider in her ruling. The judge shouldn't be considering any potential law. The judge can only make a decision on the law on which this entire matter is based, which has nothing to do with what he raised. Do I think that particular motion is a good idea or a bad idea? I think it's a terrible idea. One of the places that you're not going to be allowed to protest is any educational institution.
Yeah.
UCLA, UC Berkeley, Cal State LA, Loyola, USC. You're gonna enact something. Our elected officials are going to enact something that prevents college students from protesting at their university. The whole thing was designed. It was brought forward by Councilmember Yaroslavsky, who was annoyed and upset when Palestine liberation protesters went to the front of a synagogue that was being used on a weekend for the sale, the illegal sale of land in the West Bank that belongs to Palestinians, and the sales were only being made to Jewish people, and they use the synagogue for these sales, so then they can claim the First Amendment right to practice my religion. Nobody was protesting the Jewish religion. Nobody was protesting Jewish people. What they were protesting was the illegal sale. In a country that it's illegal to do that, the illegal sale of West Bank land that belongs to Palestinians to Jewish people in America. That was the protest, and the violence was not instigated by the protesters. It was instigated by Zionists who came into the protest, and the police assisted them. The violence was not instigated by the Palestine liberation protesters, but what came out of that and the way it was reported was wrong.
Guys, send me a goddamn super chat. God damn it.
Inaccurate at best. And then all of this hullabaloo happened. And that particular motion, in my opinion, only includes educational facilities, medical facilities, because those of us who've been involved in the pro-choice movement remember the days in the 80s when you couldn't get into an abortion clinic because there was a mob around it with dead baby pictures not allowing you to get into the clinic. And we had trouble getting any kind of laws passed to stop that. So they're appealing to the liberals that remember those things. Oh yeah, medical facilities. People shouldn't have to tolerate all kinds of protesting in front of medical facilities. That's all been thrown in, and so they can do what they want to do to go after the Palestine liberation activists in this city who are going to continue to protest against things like the illegal sale of West Bank land to people who...
I mean, I would add also, there were some sexual scandals over at USC and UCLA where the doctors at the hospitals were sexually abusing people. Under this law, if it were to go into place, the rape victims at the hospital would not be able to protest their own doctors.
That's true. That's true. They would not be able to protest anything. It's not just Palestine liberation. You are right. Anything that you want to protest if you're a university student. Look, I was a student in the 80s at UCLA. I was an undergraduate student. I was part of the occupation of the Charles Young, the chancellor's office. And we were there overnight. We were blocking the entrance to the chancellor's office. It was a fire hazard. And the interim chancellor, while the chancellor was out of town, decided not to call the police, even though we were told we were going to be arrested. And he decided not to call the police because he said, this is what we learn in college. This is what the students are learning, is about how to do a peaceful protest. Civil disobedience is protected in this country, and I am not calling the police. And we were there all night. So what were we protesting? Apartheid in South Africa. What are the Palestine liberation people protesting?
Apartheid.
Apartheid in Palestine and a genocide. So, you know, things, Mr. Moxon is correct. He is the trend. He is correct. There is a trend to curtail our free speech. None of what's in that motion is constitutional, and the U.S. Supreme Court has been clear that it's not constitutional. So I don't know what they're thinking.
I'm thinking that if they were to put in place, duly representing me on another case, and I'm arrested for illegally protesting on the very first day.
Ah,
I have a question. One of the channels last night voiced his opinion about Danny's case and about he should just take a plea and roll over and not spend all this money proving his case.
Good question.
Scientology. Can you give me your reflection?
that was
on
Danny's original attorney. That's what he told him to do.
I did not. How do I put this? There were settlement offers made. My client and I did not feel we needed to settle the case for the offers that were made. Any settlement that involved my client having to keep away from this individual would curtail his protest activities. And what would happen, and I've experienced this on each and every one of the other cases I've had, there's always a settlement.
It's for you,
offer.
Claudia.
These were all with different attorneys. There was always a settlement offer. Hey, we're going to end the Kletz order. That's the entered in the law enforcement system. So anywhere you go in the state, you get pulled over for traffic violation, they're going to look you up and see there's a restraining order against you. It's not a good thing. It can interfere with your employment. It can interfere with the lot in your life. So a settlement offer usually involves some kind of stay away. It will not be entered in the Kletz system. So it can still end up with something like that if you violate it, but it's a softer, gentler, kinder way to keep people apart. And sometimes we use them in the family law context, but generally we don't like to settle a domestic violence order in that way, because if it was a serious enough situation to require a domestic violence restraining order in the first place, maybe we need to figure out something that's still going to protect this person in that way. So these offers that get made, here's why in a general sense, not specific to my client today, but in a general sense, why these kinds of offers are a problem in these kinds of cases. Because we believe that Scientology, and we do have evidence this is happening, Scientology is really in charge of what these litigants are doing who ask for these restraining orders. If they get some kind of settlement out of one of my clients, oh, you got to stay 300 feet away from my client,
right.
It's not a Kletz order. What do you think's going to happen? Let's use Mr. Valeda as an example, because that's the case we're on today. Mr. Valeda is doing his live streaming stationary in one place, like he was for a lot of what was going on here. And then the guy in the scooter just rolls into his live stream and hangs around him and scoots back and forth. We have video, that's what he did. And then, okay, he can call Scientology, okay, I'm near him now. Or Scientology can tell him, hey, with our zillion security cameras, we see the dude. He's on the corner. Mr. Valeda's on the corner. Go scoot around him for a while. Mr. Valeda's going to have to move. Even though it's supposed to work, that if you put yourself into the vicinity of someone that you have a restraining order against, that's not supposed to work for you. But what happens is, if you two are in the vicinity and the person who's got the restraining order against you calls the police, you're going to have to rely on the police to believe you that he came into your space. So Mr. Valeda would still have to stop protesting at the Blue Building to avoid Mr. Gibbons. And that's what we don't want. And we have the same situation, Mr. Mood, this whole idea of like, oh, but it's just this one person, and you just, let's make an agreement, you both will stay away from each other and have those kinds of offers. And it's ridiculous, because Scientology is calling the shots with these people, and they are monitoring where people like Mr. Mood are, where people like Mr. Hoxton are, where people like Mr. Valeda are, and they are going to send out their people to get in their way and agitate and get some kind of reaction. That's what they're looking for. They have very little reaction out of Mr. Valeda. In one of the incidents, Mr. Valeda says, nothing. they didn't get what they wanted and they brought their restraining order anyway because they just lied. The video didn't lie. You can't settle these cases. When you've got a case that is baseless, why would you settle it?
Amen.
And the only thing I'd settle it for is drop it now so I don't have to go to trial and I won't go after you for fees. That's fair. But it's not a case with any basis. None of these cases have any basis. So, yeah.
Dorothy, I got a serious question for Danny.
Forgive me forever.
Ask Danny a question. Let him answer.
This is an important one for Danny. Pepsi or Coke?
Pepsi, of course.
I think this is your lucky blue shirt now.
Well, I just got fixed buttons, but yeah.
Danny, you want to give a speech?
Yeah, Danny, let's hear from you. How do you feel?
Well, I feel great. Thanks everyone for the support.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Originally,
It's
we
like
were
a
going to
full
take
40
a
minutes.
settlement.
Very nice of
They
you.
went, after my visa says, I'm like, oh, if I lose, it's going to stay
That's why I
American
knew it was
for
an
3 years.
easier lift.
When we
It's so likable and
contacted my
adorable.
immigration attorney.
So it's Will in a different way.
They had a call, and then I go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm an old enough lady.
All right, you can say that.
The
Yeah,
only thing
that helped.
what it
But you
cost
did a
is
good
to
job
delay
bringing that
it a
out of
little
it
bit.
too,
But with
and
the
presenting
evidence that we
that.
have,
Yes, it is.
we're in the clear.
You
So
feel-
that's why we ended up going all the way to the end.
Do you feel it was dirty of them to try to use immigration status as like a leverage point or a weapon against you?
Oh, hell yeah. But you know what? Either way, if my immigration lawyer would have said no, I would still have risked it on for the movement.
Imagine how dirty Scientology is with immigration. If they really want to talk about immigration, Scientology, you're dirty as fuck. You've been bringing children, making them, grooming them to lie to the ICE officers, to lie to the INS, to tell them lies. OSA grooms you to lie when you're being trafficked straight through the American border. So shout out to ICE that is not doing their goddamn job.
Dorothy.
Ain't that the truth?
Well, I appreciate everyone here coming, staying here for all 3 days. I know it was boring on the first 2 days.
It was boring.
It was a show.
It was a show.
It was a show.
It was great. Well,
Yeah, we
I'm
had
happy you
fun.
won. You deserve to win. And finally, a little bit of justice. Actually, there's not justice until Campos has made the pen.
yeah.
He drives a Mercedes.
Yeah, but he sleeps on a mattress on the floor. Campus. Poor guy. Sleeping on a mattress on the floor.
Yeah, he's gonna have to. He won't be able to pay rent. That's what the blue building now.
Aw. He could room with
And then there's
Jaden.
gonna be another win on Monday.
Yeah.
It'll be
I'm
another
still
win.
nervous.
Yeah, you're nervous. I'm not. You're gonna win.
Don't, bro.
You're gonna win. And it'll be 3 wins because he had a win yesterday.
Although it's a competition of whose mouth is bigger, so I don't know.
The judge scolded the BBC. It was our time.
Well, I really
Yeah, how are you feeling, Solomon? Solomon, report. Are you at ease? Are you feeling good?
He wants to try to appeal it, so I'll say go ahead. What are you going to appeal it
But
on?
Dorothy's saying there isn't really that much of a process you can do, especially in our RO case. It has to be a deep incompetence on the judge's part. If there's no deep incompetence on the judge, it's a very different type of
The judge
appeal.
was fair. She was ruling.
She was, so
All the
the
evidence.
judge is going to have to say, I messed up and grant an appeal. That's it. So it has nothing to do with any evidence or this evidence
And
wasn't
she never
good or
messed
no.
up whatsoever.
No, so it's not, it's,
He wasn't in court 3 times. He even stated to him.
yeah,
And there it is. It's done. It's over.
yeah. Amen. Hey, Chop Chop Danny, just to call you out, stupid ass, you were saying last night in the comments how Danny was going down. So you could say you expected it, bro, and you troll after Danny. And you could say, why is everybody celebrating? I expected this, bro. You were talking about how he was going down yesterday. So why don't you take that racist language and shove it up your ass?
Don't give him attention. You know, I don't think you really need to change much of anything at all. I think you were protesting perfectly. I think you were protesting effectively, and that's why they got that restraining order against you.
We're all affected one way or another. Even the viewers just watching us at home are.
Can I expect you to
on Monday. I'm away to Scotty's groceries to be done.
If I win, I'm pulling out the grill. We're doing
Yeah. We gotta get something vegan for streets.
You got something?
I got the black on the grill that had the meat on it.
No. You just go pick up some of those plants out of the
We just beat Scientology. We're fighting against Scientology, so they tried to stop some of the protesters. So big day today. We're anti. We're against them. We're against them. We're fighting against them.
If that's the case, Wallerstein versus Scientology.
Thank you. Wallerstein,
The lawyer
okay.
was Charles O'Reilly. He was my good friend. He was
Oh.
one of my class at Loyola Law School.
Oh, cool. Well, glad I ran into you. Thank you.
$35 million.
$35 million. Dan.
Well, he's somebody good to connect. Well, thank you for talking with us.
Wallerstein versus Scientology.
Wallerstein versus Scientology. Thank you. Cool. You might know it.
I think that's the
What is it? Oh yeah, that was the one where it said that Scientology is in the public interest.
Nice.
Wow, so he won 35. I need to go. Hey Dorothy, we just came up with this guy. This is a win for another thing. It's a win for Leah too. And he got a little flowers.
All right. I get off my pole now.
Nah, he's cool.
I'm working on my pole. Oh, here's the court drawing.
Congratulations to both.
Oh, cute. You made your own?
What?
You made your own court drawings?
And I think you guys should leave.
Where have you been? Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, they're adorable. No, I want to see them.
Sir, this is
They're better than mine.
adorable.
They're very adorable.
I drew this before she even started. So I had no idea.
Cute.
Well, I had a feeling.
I'm
Plus,
gonna zoom in.
I wasn't going to capture the moment of if it wasn't in our favor. From 9:35
Kelly's
to
work of art.
9:58, Judge Slade Wisconsin, 5 to 8 calling out every
Who's standing on the pole filming? Me?
I used the low end.
Thanks, D. Thompson. Appreciate the super chats. You know, I have the most people watching, but yet perhaps fairly so. I'm not the one that gets the biggest super chat, so you guys are really failing. Been peering at other people's phones, and I feel like a bitch. Right?
Show me the money.
Show me the money. Hey, DOA's minions, give me some money, goddammit.
Jackie on Monday. We will be out here. Unless some-
You're hilarious, old man in the hill. I wish.
7 o'clock.
I wish. I do love older women. I've dated many older women, 20 years older than me, but
7 o'clock at Magic Castle stand.
I don't think that's good form as much as I'd like to.
One of the main Scientology magicians at the Magic Castle. He's an OT8. He's done over $500 million in real estate transactions. He does a lot of commercial lots, commercial leases in the LA
Thank you,
area.
Brenton.
And
You're right. Maybe I'll try next time. First, I'll ask you. I don't know if she's married or not. I have no idea. I don't think so, because Gibbons. No, she's Miss. We call her Miss, not Mrs. Because I assume she was married because she's Gibbons-White, but that could have been her parents. Gibbons-White, Gibbons-White. All right, who knows? Oh, there you go. I figure she's married.
Child elderly abusing, later
I don't go after attached people. That's not good form.
and I'm a former magician. So,
There you go.
breaking news here.
yeah, so
breaking news.
7 o'clock we're going to be there.
Well, we don't wear the ring all the time.
There's one entrance going in, there's a public sidewalk right in front, you have to go up the hill.
Yeah, no, bad form to go after anybody married. That's a big no-no.
50-50. Jessica, so the
I'm a gentleman. I'm a half gentleman. I'm a quarter gentleman.
No, but if we had gotten arrested last night, we would not be here right
That
now.
wasn't the question.
Yes, no, but he
I texted you last night.
He said that. He said that.
And I was at a shooting last night, so I couldn't.
Oh,
There's one
thank
thing left to do
you.
now. There's one thing left to do
Very
now.
kind. You're
Dodge.
welcome. What up?
I can hold your phone.
Thank
We
you.
need some freestyle.
Okay, sure. All right.
Freestyle. We need to celebrate.
Well, just to thank you. I guess you could film me. I suppose.
Wait, hold on.
Here we go.
Let me fix my tie. I feel like a mess. Well, just a little background. Not that I'm amazing at freestyling, but as Will mentioned, you could all look this up on YouTube. But when I was 15 years old, Ice-T did a reality show at my prep school. So he taught me and like 7 other kids how to rap. And I was the freestyler. So at the end, we opened for Public Enemy. and I was terrible. So some guy threw a cup in my head, one guy threw a nickel at me, and then I was trying to take my mic in the audience, then one guy was trying to forcibly take the microphone away from me. But with all that being said...
Is that on video?
Yeah, if you YouTube Ice-T's Rap School, it was a one season on VH1 in like 2006.
I'm not gonna lie, I watched it.
I'm honored. Thank you for watching it.
I was curious.
It's really boring, so I'm
No,
honored
it was
you sat
pretty
through that.
entertaining.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm shocked somebody actually enjoyed it. So, yo,
There you go.
it's Danny versus Phil. Phil said he's been ill, had to take the pill. Just look at his back, the pain is whack. It's all about to cause a heart attack. Go back to black, he's on his scooter, he's on the move. He don't have that groove, he got a mattress on the bed. The pain, he said, goes to his head. That's why he's been harassed, that's why he's been threatened, that's why he's been yelled at. But he's also been spat at of the protesters. He's tried to stop the First Amendment. He's trying to stop it again. We won't let that happen because we ain't capping. Danny's got the rep. Danny's got Dorothy. She clicks her heels. Everything disappears. Scientology, thank you all for the support. Come and help support freedom. You know you want some. There
That's
you go.
right.
Thank you.
One more song to sing.
Okay.
One more song. The anthem. Give it to us because this was used in your case. They tried to say that this was like an act of violence because he was singing this song. So you want to give us? You want to sing for us right here?
You wonder why they call you bitch. You wonder. That's it.
I like it. I like it. And hey, this got me some super chats, so thank you guys. It's worth embarrassing myself for.
Make sure you get Dodge's super chats.
It's very kind.
This guy travels all over the country.
I tried. Yeah,
And
I'm
you
going
know
back
what?
to Denver today.
Don't just give it for him. Give it for his awesome dog.
Aw, thank you. Thank you. Shout out to Gizmo. Pinata. He needs to lose some weight, but we'll get there. Once upon a time. And hey, one more song. Just so we can, if we know this one by Queen, We Are the Champions.
Okay, here we go.
3, 2, 1. We are the champions, my friend, and he'll keep on fighting till the end. No time for scooters, no time for scooters. We are the champions. We are the champions of Big Blue. It's for you, Daddy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, we will rock you. No one bites the dust. That's true. Another one bites the dust. You're right. R.O. bites the dust. Da, da, da. R.O. bites the dust. And another one fails. And then Moxon fails. Thank you guys for all your help.
All right.
Cool. Love you all. I gotta catch a plane. Yeah, I gotta go to Denver. I've got a case I'm covering in Kansas.
And then you're coming back on Monday or no?
No, I'm gonna miss that sadly. I'll be back for the next thing, which is Josiah, I believe. So the case itself is Monday. It's the same day as DOA's ruling, which sucks. So I'll miss that.
DOA's ruling is Monday?
Monday, yeah.
Why do they take so long?
I don't know. It's weird, right? Usually they're like back to back to back to back. But
Like this one finished faster than that one.
yeah, right. This one was like a lot more efficient. So I don't even fully get it, but oh well. All right, guys, I gotta go back to Denver. And we'll unplug from Scientology for a little bit because I'm doing a separate case. Apologize. Yeah, Voodoo Donuts. Yeah, bit of Portland. Yeah, it's a fun scene.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, cool. Oh, what do you think? It's a fun city, isn't it?
I want to show you
Yeah, let's check it out. Sure.
the donuts
And
that I had special made.
Yeah, I'm curious the ones that you got. They have so many flavors. Really can't keep track.
Just every time I turn around,
So I had these specially
Thank you,
made
Nana.
for Pam Grier because they love
Oh,
her.
Pam Grier, of course, legend.
Yeah, I had these
Great
made
actress.
for her.
That's cool. Look at, oh, that's badass. I
Pam's
love
coffee.
that.
So yeah, then that's
You
so
said
that was me
Badass.
in the rental car.
Cool.
what did she do?
Seen the highway.
Pam.
Cool. Oh wow, that's actually Pam Grier. Wow.
Yeah.
You met. That's cool. You met her.
I know her.
No way. What's she like?
She's real cool. She's real down to earth. She's
Cool.
a horse person.
Oh really?
Helps people.
Cool.
Yeah.
She really gives back. Oh, that's amazing. Wow. You met some real legends.
Yeah.
Well worth the trip.
Well, I like the energy. So yeah, here's they got that in their voodoo on Pope.
Love that. Yeah. Cool.
So I like people that have the right energy and the right same mindset.
Yeah.
Of helping and
I hear you
giving
on
back.
that.
So
Absolutely.
Otherwise, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to have that.
People that are-
Have to have that respect.
The same kind of what I would want done.
Yeah.
For the next one.
Yeah. Oh, Tori, I'm sorry. You were calling me. I feel bad. I was in the middle of a live. But you were trying to find us, weren't you?
We actually had lunch together too.
I know.
We actually had lunch together. So
No way, really?
Yeah, I'm
You had a
taking
full lunch with her?
Yeah,
Cool.
I took a picture of someone, a fan that gave her a painting. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so get ready to have lunch.
That's cool. You got a full one-on-one lunch with a legend.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm jealous. I gotta go next time she's around. Got the iconic photo. Yeah, yeah, good. Not the same. It's not the same. Yeah, yeah. It's different. The offshoot's always the worst. Well, it's originally in Portland, so that one's like the second one in Denver. So the original one was in Portland, Oregon. Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Not worth it. Yeah. Okay, so is that recent? Yeah. Right. Not much of a difference. This is post COVID, absolutely. What's love? What's up? Yeah, I gotta take a flight. Love you, brother. Good to see you.
Flight? You're catching a flight?
Yeah, I gotta go to Denver.
How do you get there?
I'm gonna take the bus. There's like an express bus. Yeah, fly away. It's only from Union Station, right? So I gotta go all the way out to Union Station. Yeah.
Can you take the train to Union Station?
I could, but then I'm like, well, why don't I just walk? It's 20 minutes. Versus like I can wait 10 minutes for the train and be on the train for 5.
The train's gonna come like every 5-10 minutes.
Nah, I've noticed they don't. Really? I feels like for me, I feel like because I'm from New York, so I get furious at the subway here. Oh, thank you. Confident Chris's finger. You've been there. Yeah. So now let's do the subway. What's the next thing? It's Josiah, right? Well, it's DOA, because I'm missing, and then Josiah.
When is Josiah? Me money to get for my Temu Dodge jacket.
Oh, cute. Oh, I love that. Aw, I could have sent that all to you. Here you go. How much? I'll send you some stuff if you'd like.
Hilarious, no?
That is funny. That's a statement on me. They think I'm that much of a mess. Yeah, that makes sense. That's hilarious. Yeah, right. So I'd love to have you on the stream, by the way. Blast you out if you're going to be at court. Yeah, because I won't be there. So I'd love to get a rundown from you if I may.
Yeah,
It'd be fun to have you.
do one from yesterday for the chunks you were out.
Okay, cool. So then I'll connect with you. Hopefully they're not. Both cases probably are at the same time, but whatever. Because I'm going.
Your Denver one.
So yeah, or it's in Kansas actually. So to get from Denver to Kansas, it's about 7 hours driving. So I have to fly. Here, Sandra. I have to fly, and then I have to drive 7 hours after I get it to Denver. So it's gonna be. Timing is tight.
This is going to be a lot like today, I'm hoping, where she...
It's relatively quick. I figured. Yeah.
When is
Josiah's thing?
What's up?
When is Josiah's thing?
How much or when you said?
When? Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it's in like 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. Good question.
On the 25th, I think?
I think that sounds about right. Probably, yeah. So I'll try to go for that one. Although it knocks you out flying back and forth, and it's so much money too because I have to pay for dog care. So it's.
I mean, there should be like cheap airlines to fly because when I flew to Portland, it was like cheapest on Spirit.
Yeah, I'm flying Frontier, which is cheap, but
if you go to the northwest from here, Frontier is so hard that you
Yeah.
have to connect in San Francisco.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do connecting flights. Fuck that. Fuck that. I'm not doing any connecting
Especially
flights.
if you want to go to Phoenix, for example, you have to connect in Vegas.
Right. Yeah, not worth it.
Up to Vegas and down to Phoenix.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't. So, I got a sojourn ahead of us. Congratulations to you as well. And I guess you're done. He's done. We got one more to go. Yeah, we're good. But DOA, right? It's not part of it.
But then we have.
What else do we have?
We have Josiah on the 20th.
I know that. Who else?
And then,
Thank you.
The Henry.
Oh, Henry. Yeah.
30th. And then
Right, I'll try to go for that.
That's it for LA.
His is an actual trial, right?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I think no, it's only scheduled for one day right now.
I can go to Nance Drew's trial, I guess.
They're all on the court calendar. It's all on
Yeah.
the court calendar.
But she won't be far. Jewel says she misses you. Jewel's silly. Yeah.
I miss you too.
Oh, he misses you too.
Call me.
Ha! Look at that G. He's got the magic I never got.
Chewing gum. He has some.
Cool. He said he's doing his crizzle.
Never have gum
Ain't that the truth?
when I'm out and about. I don't buy gum. In LA.
All right, guys. See you soon. Take care. Thank you. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks for being there. Of course. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Love y'all. Stay strong. Yeah, I gotta get to my dog. All right, guys. I'm gonna do a quick thing in the chat. I don't even want to look at this shit. Thank you for all the super chats. Oh, thank people for the super chats. And thank you, Nana Boo Boo. Glad you enjoyed my singing. Thanks for all the hard work. You're welcome. I'm a hero. Far from it, but that's very, very sweet. Hey, Paula. I want to marry you someday. Hey, Paul. All right, guys. Love you all. I got a plane to catch. Bye-bye.